Hi everybody, welcome to Homesteading Off the Grid. Today we are going to begin growing walnut trees by planting walnuts. In the past we've grown oak trees from planting acorns. We have grown hickory trees from planting hickory nuts. This year we're starting to grow chestnut trees from planting chestnuts, and we're going to begin growing walnut trees by planting the actual walnuts, which you can see behind me here. We've piled a bunch of them up from one of the walnut trees we already have. So let's scoop up a bucket of walnuts with the shovel there and head over to the garden, and we'll get started. Okay guys, we're in our garden spot where we're going to plant our walnuts in the hopes of growing walnut trees from walnuts. But before we make our way over there, I wanted to give you an update on some garlic I planted, I think October 27, and it is now November 13. So about 2 weeks ago to the day, and it's coming up. So remember, if you love garlic, it's still not too late as of the recording of this video in zone 7 or further south at least to get some garlic in the ground. So we'll have fresh garlic next June or July, hopefully, if all keeps going to plan, which, as we know, life doesn't always happen that way, but we do our best. So here's where I'm going to put our walnuts, and I want to show you what I have. I actually decided to get 2 buckets of walnuts. Figured I'd double my chances. And by the way, here's some, I mentioned oak trees from acorns. Here's some that we put in here just last year. We're going to be doing exactly what we did with these acorns last year, and we can see more as the leaves are dying off here this time of year. We're going to do the exact same thing with the walnuts. Okay, so I've got 2 buckets of walnuts. I've got some digging tools. I've got my shovel, some rakes, because I'm going to dig this area right here about 2 inches deep at the most. We don't want to bury them too deeply. We want to have like a trench deep enough to be able to put them in, spread them out, put the soil back on top, and then I'm going to put some grass clippings on top to work as a mulch. It'll help retain moisture in the very arid, dry months here in Virginia in the winter. We don't get a lot of snow, and the humidity level is pretty low sometimes in the winter. This will also help insulate the ground to hold temperature in. And then I'm also going to put chicken wire over top of it all. I'll probably actually put this underneath the grass clippings. I'm using the chicken wire to protect the nuts from the squirrels. We have a ton of squirrels here on our property. I saw just a little while ago, I believe 6 at one time in my backyard going after these nuts. 90% of our nuts I took out and put along the wood line at various spots around the property to help the squirrels out this winter. But squirrels, being as squirrels are, they keep coming down and stealing my nuts. So I know if I don't plant these now, I might not have them there to plant another week. Now, I also have a hammer because I don't know a whole lot about tools, but I do know how to use a hammer, so I typically like to have a hammer with me when I do anything, whether I need it or not. We probably won't need it, but that's why it's there. Now, I'm going to dig the trench, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've dug my trench, and I've gone ahead and lined the trench with some grass clippings. Figure you can never have too much nourishment going into your soil, especially if it's a place where you plant regularly. Garden, you know, your vegetables in your garden or trees, all these different plants will take nutrients out of the soil, so use stuff like grass clippings, leaves, chicken manure, whatever, to put some back in. So we're just going to dump our buckets out, and if you're planning on touching these things, you might want to wear gloves. They'll stain your hands. So just now that they're in the trench, I'm going to thin them out some, just so that they're not all piled up and huddled up. They'll still grow like this, but we give them all a better chance to grow if they're spread out. Give them all some space. Now, I could do this with the rake too, but I'm trying to do it with my hand to kind of show you guys what I'm doing, since I'm making a video doing this. As you saw, I have a ton of walnuts still over there, so I'm probably going to plant quite a few more of them here while there's still time. Now, I want to address a couple things. A lot of people will say you need to take these husks or these shells off. You can, but I mean, what's the point? You see that? And then also, you'll see a lot of people talking about planting nuts acorns, all this stuff. If you want to find out if they are going to grow or not, put them in water, and if they float, they're not going to. Get rid of them. If they sink, they're probably going to grow. I used to do that, but I just don't waste my time anymore because it's just a numbers game. I mean, there's probably, I don't know, maybe 100 walnuts in there. I'm sure 20 of those might have floated. But how much time would I have wasted to float those, to get those 20 out to throw them, and I just throw them in there, and they're either going to grow or they're not. The other 80 will. So I just put them in there like that. I take out that step of taking the husks off and floating them in water. That saves me a lot of time. So now I'm going to cover them with my soil. I'm going to lay down my chicken wire, and then I'm going to put more grass on top of it. So, excuse-moi. Okay, so I've buried my walnuts, and I want to point out two things here with this chicken wire I've done in case you're going to do this and you have squirrels where you live. I've done a crisscross applesauce with the chicken wire. I actually used 2 pieces of chicken wire here so that the holes will kind of crisscross applesauce to make it impenetrable. I actually looked out this morning when I was looking at the squirrels in my backyard, and some were in my chicken pen getting nuts. So I know they can get through this, you know, and I think that's why the universe had me see that. So I would know to do a crisscross applesauce here. So I want to point that out. Then also make sure that when you put your weight down to hold the wire, you go around the edges so that you're not actually putting your firewood, your cinder blocks, whatever you're using, your lumber, to hold down the chicken wire on top of any of your nuts. And then from here, I'm simply going to put the rest of my grass clippings on here. Again, this is going to work as a mulch. It's going to help retain moisture during the arid months of winter. You know, the thing about Virginia, Central Virginia, it's humid as can be in the summer. You go outside to go into your car, and before you even get to your car, your shirt's stuck to your back. But in the winter, it gets pretty dry. We don't get an awful lot of precipitation usually. Of course, this year has been the rainiest year since the settlement of Jamestown, at least according to me. It's the year 2018. Google it. Maybe someday it will get the accolade of the rainiest year in recorded history since the settlement of Jamestown. But there we go. Now those grass clippings will settle. They'll fall down between the cracks. Especially, we're going to get some rain here this evening. It's actually supposed to snow in a couple days, so that'll hold that in place. But that's really all there is to it. So guys, that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed planting some walnut trees with me today. Going forward into the future, I will bring you updates, just like I've done with those acorns. It's what's so neat about these videos is we video all of it. We videoed us putting those acorns there last year. We made videos of when they first sprouted, I think back in February, and then we've recently made a video showing you the 1 year to the date update, and many of them are 16 inches tall. So I'm excited to bring you updates on these walnut trees. It might not be till next spring. I hope to get out here and plant some more, and I want to plant those chestnuts that I've gathered, and I'll make sure to include you in that as well. I want to thank each and every single one of you who took the time out of your day to watch this video and any of our other videos. I humbly thank you on behalf of me and my family, and I hope that you'll consider subscribing to our channel if you haven't, and make sure to join us for more in the future right here at Homesteading Off the Grid.